There are two stories going around. One side says that the loops are the future. The creator of Cloud Code doesn't even prompt anymore. He read loops. The other side, however, says that loops are a money fire. One guy burned $1.3 million in tokens in 1 month. The twist, both are actually right. What decides which story you get is the verifier, the part that checks if the work is actually good or not. By the end of the video, you'll see a loop that ends itself, and also some verifiers which you can steal for your own workflow. So let's go. Make all tests green, self-gradient. You probably heard a lot about loops in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I think that's how long it's actually been out there, and you probably heard also a lot about the goal and that you should be able to measure your goal, at least have a verification which is working. But I think that's a good thing to actually know about. But there's also a different thing which you should be attentive to, which is that sometimes agents tend to actually delete the failing test, which is a big problem because just think about that the test is gone, all is green, but the goal is actually achieved, and the whole project is built on something which is not even actually tested in the right way. But don't panic, I will show you how to fix it. The verification ladder. That's normally a ladder which I'm using if I'm trying to verify or have like good verification. And there are 4 key levels to this, with level 1 being the deterministic. And that's normally a sort of metric that you're giving to your AI. For example, I want this page or website to load under 0.7 seconds. And the AI will just go and iterate until the website is loading under 0.7 seconds. Level 2 is one judge for taste. For example, if I'm trying to build an app, I will give the AI a loop and he will build and iterate. And a judge for that could be, at least for taste, could be like code rep. And you could just have your AI just work and then do a pull request to GitHub and see if CodeRabbit has any suggestions, and if not, then it's done. Then level 3 is 2 judges must agree. For example, you have one LLM building the whole project, and at the end there's a different LLM which is normally from a different provider, at least that's what people are doing, or is a different agent with no context. And he will just look over your work and see, okay, if everything is okay. Level 4, until you're satisfied. That's actually something where you want to be aware of, because sometimes an AI doesn't know when it's satisfied, and for that it will just iterate and iterate. At the end, you will have an API cost, which is just much too high. And if you don't want that to happen, I would at least want a different LLM or a sub-agent reviewing your code, or something as CodeRabbit for code. And if you actually want your agent to, to have the verification on the satisfaction overall, then I would at least try to give the AI a very good prompt on what is actually satisfied. So there are actually 2 ways to run a loop, with the first being at the right goal prompt, and you normally use it when it's not a repetitive task and you just want it done. And it also lives in the session, it's also for a single task. And the second one is a reusable skill. It's a skill.md file, it defines a task, and also done, and any loop can actually call it at every time. So if you have like any repetitive task which you're doing a lot, you can just have it as a skill and also then build a loop around it. So here I'm going to actually show you on how to build a real loop. At the top, you want a goal. 1 sentence, it's enough, just describe your goal. Additionally, if you actually have a skill, you could just have the skill, then have it run as a loop and just have a goal, and at the end a verification. But if you're just prompting it, at the top there should be a goal. Also, there should be a source, what works with you. For example, the connectors or the tools which the AI needs for doing this specific task which you told him. For example, I told you for coding I normally use CodeRabbit as the verification. For that, you could just tell the AI to use CodeRabbit or any connectors which you need for this loop. As you can see, there's a real one, a complete loop. To be exact, it's an SEO audit. At the trigger section, you want the name of the loop and also the description. Then going to the goal, you want to describe the goal. For here, it's every page technically clean and easy to read. You also want probably an LLM or at least something to verify it. Then going to the source is the site folder .site and also sitestem.xml. So you also want to provide the source to your loop, or at least to the agent which is doing that loop. Then on action, each run crawl every page, rank the issues by impact, pick the top 3 and crawl again. That's the right action, or at least a proof which you should tell the AI on how to do the certain action. You don't want to tell the AI just to go and make the site better. Then on the verification, done when 0 broken links, 0 critical crawl errors, and also readability and range on every page. That's a very good verification. That are metrics which are very fixed and also very easy to check. Then to the guardrails, they are never change the design or delete content. Stop after 10 rounds and tell me what's left. You also want to have round cap, at least if you have something on the taste side, as I would call it, because sometimes the AI doesn't know where to stop or at least when to stop, and it will just keep iterating and iterating. At the end, you will have a loop which is going on for 12 hours. And then at the end, you want probably a memory if it's a repetitive task. After each run, append to seo-log.md. You can call it however you want it, and what was fixed, what was open, and what to check next run. So if you have a repeatable task and also have a skill, you probably also want a memory.md, because on the next run, the AI knows what to exactly do and also what to exactly do better. So that's a loop that ends itself. And there's also a thing which I want to give you anyway, which is that loops are very powerful, but they could also be very expensive. That's why you should do these 3 things. With the first being, it should have a hard cap in every condition. If you don't want your agent to just run and iterate, you probably want a cap in every condition. For example, I want you to have to do like this thing in this way for not more than 8 rounds. Second of all, a good verifier. A weak one loops in circles. Because if you have a great verifier, the AI will know when it's actually done. And third of all, keep the tasks small. Open goals run for days. Even when a loop is very good, we all know it, but it can also be very expensive. And I think one of the best things which I found for myself to make the loop maybe a little bit, I would say, token efficient, is to separate it in smaller tasks, as also how you would do when you're prompting a normal agent. And here's how you know if you should do or build a loop or just prompt the agent. You want to loop it when there's a clear measurable done, and also when it takes many rounds to get there. You probably want an actual loop, and also remind it, like have it as a reminder that normally loops are a little bit more token heavy. And here are some scenarios where you should just prompt it. When there's one good prompt which does the complete job, or it's creative and open-ended, you normally want a normal prompt, because verification would be very hard because there isn't a measurable done. That's the end of the video. I hope you liked it, and we actually built a loop that ends by itself. And if you want some ready-made loops for coding and actually SEO, things which I'm also doing and I also tested, you could just go in the description and just check it for yourself. Thank you for watching.